museum inserts itself in a set of modifications, changes and transformations into ordering processes. The first is a change in the ordering of institutional life. Basically, we are looking at conditions through which the cohabitation on the island and in the larger region is shaped by a multiplicity of polities. We're looking at a geopolitical condition of cohabitation in this region through insertion in one large archiving system. So we're looking at how different polities throughout history have framed, contained, moved people through processes and procedures of infrastructure. That is, through the organization of the material means to control, govern this vast system. This is how the US aid program was organized just after the war. We can start seeing the set of relations at an international scale. So the polities are immediately entangled among themselves. So you can never think of Formosa as being an island. It's always engulfed in a number of other processes. It goes on and you start seeing what they've done. They built bridges, they built railways, they had demonstrations, all the military equipment arrived, military relations between the Republic of China and the United States, the jet planes. It's not just signing official documents, it really shapes things. How we organize our cohabitation by organizing frameworks of legal relations, international law, local law, corporate law. The second transformation that we're looking at, the organization of space. We are looking at these set of transformations not as the backdrop. On the contrary, we're trying to understand space neither as the stage of human life, nor as its matrix. And we see this directly as an image, because we've analyzed this data by creating images that are set at 3 specific dates. We're not looking at one moment in time, we're looking at 3 moments, separated each one by 10 years. And that means that we see an image that is marking how space changes. We see in red the older parts, in green the expansion of the cities, and in blue the latest developments of cities. In order to understand that concomitance, we again have to go back to the documents, have to understand the shifts in the cycles of production. We start seeing how the different claims of the polities, the different claims of institutions are never only ideal claims. They're never only based on an imaginary. They're always brought down into protocols, into procedures, into infrastructure. And this is why we call this intervention in the TAIPEI Biennale the Museum of the Infrastructural Unconscious. It's infrastructural because it lies beneath. It sustains lines of production and lines of life without direct intervention. It's unconscious because it somehow is a concretion of everything that we would like to express in very clear terms as us shaping our environment. In reality, we see that we are becoming not unaware, not unconscious in the sense of being unaware of our environment, but we are becoming our environment, and our environment is becoming us. This is drinking water. One has 50 milligrams per liter, and the other one has 10 milligrams per liter of arsenic. Arsenic is poisonous. It's this element that is completely deadly, and it has generated the very infamous Blackfoot disease in Taiwan, where people drank for so many years water that contained elements of arsenic just beneath what was detectable. So you couldn't detect it with the technologies. And the work of Nabil Ahmed is a sample in the complex negotiations in science about how to regulate what you can drink and what you cannot drink. So this one contains 50 milligrams per liter, this is 10 milligrams per liter. Within the so-called developed countries, this is the acceptable amount of water, of arsenic that you can have in drinking water. In underdeveloped countries, we can accept that. So you can start seeing how measurement techniques have impacts on our own bodies, on our own individualities. And you can start understanding how the notion of the infrastructural unconscious is something that is permeating our life. That border between something that you can drink and something that you can die of is, again, that bordering technology. It's a technology of the monster. The selection is quite vast, and they are organized in very straightforward categories, and they are all in black boxes. So people have to dwell into those archives. They have to start making connections. The tables are also interspersed with photographic books by Armin Linke, who very generously gave us access to his photographic archives of the last 20 years, where he has documented infrastructure transformations across the globe. So the museum tries to reverberate also in that space, a space of the imaginary. What is the space of contemporaneity and modernity? We would like to somehow reveal its collective bodies, its possibilities of understanding individualities, multiplicities, collectivities in relation to these processes of formulation of protocols, of logs, of procedural formations. The Museum of the Infrastructural Unconscious, on the contrary, sets up not a frontal space, not a primordial one-to-one condition, which is establishing a fixed space, creates a subject, someone who is subjugated to the other, but somehow expands this set of relations and makes them multiple, lateral, and coexisting. In that sense, one could say that the Museum of the Infrastructural Unconscious operates also by indicating traces of a new era and a new scale.